At this time, we'll call the Board of County Commissioner meeting for the purpose of agenda review for next week's business session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast
He's in the building.
in the building. Commissioner Myers,
Myers, aye.
Commissioner O'Hara
In the building.
She's here.
here. Commissioner Hanslick,
Hanslick here.
Commissioner Ashcraft,
Here.
Commissioner Allenbrand,
Allenbrand, aye.
and Chairman Eilert.
Here, all are present. We do have a quorum. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Item number 1, consider authorizing an exception to competition and approving service agreement renewals for respite care services with DECA Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $130,000 for one additional 12-month contract period ending June 30th, 2023, per Administrative Policy and Procedure Number 110.180.a.16. And item number 2, consider approving declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions and grant of easements with Van Trust Real Estate for the New Century Commerce Center to facilitate the master development plan as recommended by the Johnson County Airport Commission.
Tanner, can you be very quick?
First item is our DECA exception to competition. We do this renewal every year for respite care services. The only thing that's changed is the rate has increased for the first time in about 4 years due to inflationary costs and staffing.
Questions? Mr. Ashcraft?
Mr. Fortney, what happens if we do not approve this?
So DECA right now is going to be our only respite care provider. So if we don't do this, then we would have individuals that need respite care services that would not be able to receive them.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Next item, any questions on item number 2? All right, next action agenda items.
Item number 3, consider approving the June 2nd, 2022 business session minutes. Chairman Eilert was absent.
That will stay on action. Thank you.
Item number 4, resolution number 042-22, consider City of Gardner applications FDP-22-02, final development plan, and FP-22-03, final plat for Prairie Trace Estates, third plat on 16.5 acres, located in the vicinity of 178th Street and Houston Street, Gardner, Kansas, and located within 1 mile of the New Century Air Center.
Mr. Penley.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Pendley, planning staff. This application is an airport application, property located in the city of Gardner. It is a part of an overall development area, Prairie Trace, that was approved by the county in 2020. This plat is the third phase for this subdivision. It's located near the intersection of 178th Street and Clare Road. So this is indicated as an airport application within 1 mile of New Century Air Center. And it is consistent with the preliminary plat that was approved in 2020. It consists of 44 single-family residential lots on 16 acres. And the development plan is consistent with the preliminary plat, no changes. The Airport Commission considered this application at the meeting on May 25th. The commission recommended approval as stipulated, and there was no one from the public that spoke. Staff also recommended approval of this application. Be happy
All
to answer
right,
any questions.
this is a planning item. Will remain on action. Are there any questions? All right, thank you. Next item.
Item number 5, resolution number 043-22, consider City of Gardner application PP-22-01 preliminary plat on 18.8 acres and FP-22-04 final plat on 6.3 acres for New Trails North Commercial located on the southwest corner of 175th Street and New Trails Parkway, Gardner, Kansas, and located within 1 mile of the New Century Air Center.
Mr. Penley.
Sean Penley, planning staff. This application is also in the city of Gardner within 1 mile of New Century Air Center. It's also a part of the same overall development for Prairie Trace. This is the first phase of the commercial development that was approved with the zoning in 2020. At that time, there was no preliminary development plan approved with this rezoning, if you recall. This is the first plan that we've seen for this property. The property is fronting 175th Street at the New Trails Parkway, new street that was constructed for this development. This plan at this time is a preliminary plat. There are no specific commercial uses identified with the plan. It's merely setting up the plat and the layout for their internal streets and access. And final development plans will be required for the individual users. And those final development plans are subject to review and approval by the county. This does include a final plat that does identify 2 lots, the first 2 lots at 175th and New Trails Parkway. The Airport Commission considered this item at their meeting on May 25th and recommended approval as stipulated. Staff also recommended approval.
All right, again, a planning item. We'll stay on action. Questions? All right, thank you. Next item.
Item number 6, resolution number 030-22, consider approving speed limit increases on various roads in the unincorporated area of Johnson County.
Mr. Bose.
Jeff Voss with Public Works. This item is to increase speed limits on 13 road segments as noted in the resolution. Several months ago, the Sheriff's Office asked Public Works to look at 45 segments of unincorporated county roads and consider increasing speed limits on them to the county's standard 45 miles per hour. We completed an engineering study for these segments, which included determining the 85th percentile speeds, as well as a review of the site and safety distances at entrances. Out of the 45 segments looked at, 13 segments met the criteria for a safe increase of speeds to either 40 or 45 miles an hour as shown in the resolution. All segments listed in the resolution have significant evidence of non-compliance to the existing 35-mile-an-hour speed limits by having an 85th percentile speed in the 43 to 54-mile-an-hour range. The 85th percentile speed is simply the speed that 85% of the drivers operate and is an important component when considering speed limits. Drivers need to perceive the speed limits as credible if adequate levels of voluntary compliance are to be achieved. Routine violation of speed limits by most drivers may breed contempt not only for speed limits, but also other traffic regulations. As a general proposition, then, speed limits should be set at levels that are largely self-enforcing, i.e. near the 85th percentile speed, so that law enforcement officials can concentrate their efforts on the worst offenders. Public support, i.e. willingness to obey, is closely linked with the reasonableness of speed limits. Additionally, and it's a bit counterintuitive, but speed studies have shown that posting speed limits at or near the 85th percentile speed groups the traffic speeds more closely together and reduces conflicts between vehicles driving at different speeds. Issues such as the need to pass vehicles or miscalculating the speeds of other vehicles is reduced. Both Public Works and the Sheriff's Office support the speed limits proposed in this resolution, and I'm here for any questions.
As I understand it, this comes before us at the request of the Sheriff's Office, is that right?
Correct.
Thank you. Other questions? Ms. O'Hara?
I have a couple of questions, looking at this. So on 207th Street, we're going to be going from 35 to 45 back to 35 in a segment of a mile, correct? Because that 207th mostly is gravel, I know because I ride my bike on it. And so there's just this 1 mile paved section. And so we're going to be going 35, then 45, then back to 35. Is that correct?
Well, from County Line Road over to Broad Street, it'll all be 40.
No, I'm talking about, I'm sorry.
Oh,
From
further
Schweitzer
down?
Road to Antioch Road.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the speed limits on either side
Okay.
of that is.
I'll talk to Brian.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Public Works for taking my current concerns into consideration on Kenneth Road.
Thank you. Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vols, you feel that the infrastructure is adequately safe to handle the increased speeds in all these sections?
Yes, and that's why the majority of them were actually ruled out.
Very good. Mr. Chairman, this item's in good order. If you'd like to move to consent, I'd have no objections.
Any objection to consent? Ms. O'Hara?
I need to talk to Brian. I would like to leave this because a lot of these segments are in my district.
Will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 7, IFB number 2022-017. Consider authorizing a contract with Brian Olmeyer Construction Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $872,107.10 for the bridge construction, grading, surfacing, and seeding for a Ridgeview Road Bridge 0.8 miles north of 191st Street.
Mr. Vogt.
Jeff Votes with Public Works. This item is the approval of a contract to reconstruct a bridge on Ridgeview Road, approximately 0.8 miles north of 191st Street. The existing structure is a type that's not easily rehabilitated and is a bit undersized. The project will replace that structure with a long-lasting structure with the appropriate waterway opening. While having only one bidder is not ideal, Brian Omeyer Construction is experienced with constructing these small rural bridges and has done good work for the county in the past. Also, their price is right in line with similar structures built for public works in the past several years, despite the rather uncontrolled escalation of materials and labor prices we've been seeing lately. Public Works recommends awarding this contract to Brian Omeyer Construction, and I'll stand for any questions.
Questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vols, question that I've asked earlier, how do we assure an arm's length relationship between our selection and the sole bidder?
Through our procurement process is pretty much how we do that.
Well, we can discuss this offline so we can expedite the meeting. That would be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 8. Consider authorizing the Mental Health Department to add 4 FTE case manager positions for the 988 National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and authorize the reallocation and expenditure of fund balance reserves for FY 2022 in an amount not to exceed $170,000.
Mr. Connor?
Hi, Joe Connor, Assistant County Manager. This item has to do with the, again, it's a immediate action request, but the 988 line will be starting in Kansas very soon with the recent legislation that's passed. The additional four staff will provide, a much more capacity to meet the need we think we're going to have. And the funding that we're asking for is a grant from the state. We need authorization to expend those funds.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, you have 170,000 for 4 people. That doesn't seem like very much money.
Yeah, as Robin's saying, it's not for the whole year. It's for part of the year that we're going to be getting now from the state that we don't have authorization to spend.
Oh, it's for part of it.
Oh, okay, because I was like, wow, I mean, that's not even a bachelor level. Do you know what level when you say case manager?
I can get back to you on that. I do
Okay,
not.
yeah, I would like more information.
Okay, I'll make sure they get with you.
We put this on consent? or-
I would like not a consent because then they can answer more questions. Action.
Okay, so noted. Next item.
Item number 9, consider authorizing the publication of a proposed budget for Johnson County government in the amount of, this number will be determined after the discussion in the next day or two. For fiscal year 2023, notifying the county clerk of the proposed intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and setting a public hearing on the proposed budget for Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the board chambers.
Okay, again, just a note, this does not set the final budget. It sets a maximum budget. And following the public hearing that will be posted, then we make a determination of the actual budget. Any other comments, staff?
No.
All right. This will remain on action. Thank you all very much. We made it. So we will start our committee of the whole meeting at 1 p.m. Enjoy your lunch. We are adjourned.